And we are live. Are we live? Yes, we are live.
Yay!
So wait a minute. We are live. It is recording. So you will allow me 1 second in order to make this nice.
So we have to stop the saying like stupid things. Or we have to start saying stupid things.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Stop the saying like stupid things.
You will give me a moment, dear listeners and watchers, because I will have to show this to the social media in order to get our followers to view us and say their opinion. So you will give me a moment. And we will be live again. Olga, please mute your microphone, please.
Please, Olga, I mean, come on.
Please.
Are you serious? This is discrimination towards my environment. Okay.
So, let's stop this. It's a little bit hard to do the technical thing and also be the presenter, but that's our production right now. So, we should start, I think, right now. Welcome to the Wrong Podcast, the podcast that is made to make fun of other podcasts, to make fun of other opinions, to show the wrong and the rights of either places and times. So, we welcome here with us Miss Olga and Miss Angeliki. Please introduce yourselves to the world out there.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Angeliki. I have been debating for the past almost 5 years, which is a long time. And I come from Greece, and I'm very glad to be here with you.
Okay, thank you, Angeliki. Now, Olga.
So my name is Olga, and actually I'm debating like all my free time. The last month, probably I made more than 50 rounds of debating. So yes, this is a lot, and here we are to enjoy this funny debate with Angeliki and show who is right and who is wrong. Thank you.
You are wrong, that's for sure.
Please keep all these extremities for the debate. So, without further ado, I will introduce the motion and talk a little bit about it, and then we will have Miss Angeliki presenting us with the opening side, the pro side of this motion, and then Olga will present the against side, the opposing side, the opposition side of this motion. So the motion reads: this house would rather be part of Club 27 instead of living an average anonymous life. So by talking about Club 27, what do we mean with the term Club 27? We mean in order to become a member of Club 27, you have to be a person that has lived its life to the fullest, has lived without caring about self-preservation, only about caring to catch your dreams, to make your dreams come true, and not care about the consequences of the way that you live. And most of the time, those people that have chosen to become a part of Club 27 have died in an age of around 27 because of that life. But they have lived their life to the fullest, and most of them are also known to us and they are known worldwide. Someone could say that about Miss Amy Winehouse, for example, a very recent example of a member of the Club 27. Someone could say even Heath Ledger, that was an actor that had committed a suicide around the age of 27. I think he was 29, but it's we could consider him part of Club 27. And someone could also say that Achilles would like to become a member of the Club 27. We all know the story of Achilles, who had to choose between a boring long life with his children and grandchildren, and a life of war and glory and dying young. So this is what we are going to discuss today. And without further ado, we call Miss Angeliki to the stand. Well, actually, she doesn't have to stand, but you can see her there. In order to talk, to make the introductory points about it. Please, Angeliki, whenever you want, you will have our debating format. Actually, before you begin, we have to talk about the debating format. And who am I? I have not talked about me. I am Fotis. I will be the chair of this debate. I will be the conductor of this debate, and this debate will be 4 speeches for each side of about 5 minutes, and we will have a lot of questions in between from both sides, and we will see how that will go. So please, Angeliki, if you don't have anything to add, you can start this debate.
Thank you very much for the introduction for this. It was very nice and help you for explain us the theme before I can start with my speech. Let me set my timer. Okay, so before I move with my definition, I'm going to say a very small story about Club 27. It started when people noticed that famous people like actors, musicians, etc. died at the age of 27. For example, like Jimi Hendrix or Kurt Cobain. So, yeah. And people were trying to notice if there is a correlation between these things. Now, what we say as a government about how Club 27 works, we say that you live your life to the fullest. Do you want to go drugs? You can go for drugs. You can go for alcohol. You can have sex like there's no tomorrow. And also, you can chase your dreams and you can do whatever you dream to do since you were a child. Now, the only requirement for this is that since you live your life to the fullest, you also have to die at the age of 27. We don't care about how you're going to die. We don't care if it's going to be suicide or if you're going to get murdered or overdosed or anything, but you just have to die at this age. Now, when it comes to the average anonymous life, first of all, when we say anonymous, we mean that nobody knows you, except probably from your mother. So only a few people know you. Second of all, you have a very miserable life. You have to do a job that probably you don't like just because for the money. And second of all, maybe after a while you can get married, have a family and children, and hope that you can live happily ever after. But actually, the only reason that you're doing this is because everybody else is doing that. So since your friends are doing that, you also have to do that after a while. So, yeah. And third of all, when we say about average anonymous life, we think that probably you're going to complain all the time about how terrible your life is just because you have to do something that you don't like, that you hate like there's no tomorrow, and you don't even want to get up from the bed just to start your day. Now, why in my side, I think that it is better to support the Club 27. First of all, it's because it's your life. We think that it is better to chase your dreams and to live your life to the fullest. We think that when you have to compare, it's better to live a life in which you did everything that you always wanted than to live more years and feel sad and depressed and one day wake up and start at your 40s and start thinking about what I did wrong with my life, why my life sucks like this, what I could have done if I just had chased my dreams when I was younger. Now, also, moving on. Since the life in the Club 27 for us sounds more exciting, you can go and party like crazy. You don't have to restrict yourself. You don't have to say to yourself, no, I'm not going to do this. No, I'm not going to try become an actor or a musician just because everybody says no. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try chase it like there's no tomorrow and die at a very young age knowing that I tried my best and that I lived what I always wanted to live. We think that in this way people can appreciate more their lives. If you know that you are going to die at the age of 27, then you're going to appreciate every single moment. You're going to be happy for that moment because you know that after a while, in a few years, you're not going to have more moments. You're going to do everything that you wish for. You're gonna do what really makes you happy and not what other people do and think that it is the right thing. You're not going, for example, to have a family if you don't want to have a family, and you're not going to work for 8 hours every single day just to make money. You're gonna chase the dream job that you want, even if it is not paying. Why? Because you know that you're going to die in a few years, so you don't care about the future. This is now, it's now or never. You're gonna live in the present. So, to sum up, in the comparative, we think that it is better to just go and chase a career that will probably never even pay off, but we don't care because you're gonna be happy at the end just because you chase that, than to go and choose a life and pursue a life and probably a career that is going to make you more miserable. You're gonna live for more years, but you're going to be miserable at the same time. So for all of this, so this is my
Thank you,
definition.
Angeliki.
Thing.
So I will have to remind you all that watchers that you can make your questions. We will be taking questions from the viewers and ask our speakers right now about these questions you present. So, Olga, do you have any questions for Angeliki for her opening remarks? I will take that as a no, or you have your microphone.
Okay, so the question is, do you recognize that the majority of people who are entering the Club 27 is like public persons, musicians, etc.?
Of course, I recognize that, and I think that everybody should try to pursue something like that. Even try to become famous. We don't care about that. The most important thing is live your life to the fullest, no matter what it is. You can go for bungee jumping or whatever, but still die until that age. You will never have your 28th birthday. Ever.
Okay, thank you, Angeliki. So, without further ado, let's move on and let's call Olga to the podium. This fantastical podium that we can make up with our brains because we are not we're not in a room all together. Everyone is in his own room or her own room. So please, Olga, without further ado, you can make your opening remarks. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, so let me set my timer. I'm actually so happy to be here with you and participating in this amazing podcast. I just wanted to notice that. Okay, let me set the timer and begin. So, the things that we heard from Angeliki are very cute actually, but let me explain you how it actually gonna look like in reality. By entering the Club 27, you're gonna get two things. One, some kind of extreme experience, and two, very short life. Both of them are problematic, but before I begin my argumentation, let's see what the average lifestyle means. Probably it's a life on an average person, like go to school, go to university, get a job, marry, make children, etc. The majority of people in status quo have this lifestyle. This is because they prefer to follow the mass. They don't like to be different. So is this that bad? It's actually not. Probably this life is not going to be as dangerous and colorful as in Club 27, but we see that lots of people are living that way their whole life and they're okay with that. In the other hand, how the lifestyle of Club 27 looks like a lot of alcohol almost every day, drug addiction. Many people, no matter what their gender is, are willing to give you their body and cover your sexual needs. And you're always out of your comfort zone because you are doing extreme stuff. For example, you might like wake up in another city in the morning and not remembering where you are. And this is just a normal morning for you. And here's a question. Is this the thing that makes you happy? Is like beaches and drugs really make you that happy? No, because we have to understand what makes happy the majority of people. Like the feeling of security about what's gonna happen the very next day. Have we know that? Like remember how scared everyone was when COVID pandemic started and we lost our stability. Like people don't like losing their stability. The majority of people don't like leaving their comfort zone and doing crazy stuff. They don't like the feeling of hangover at morning. They tend to value stable relationships and not just doing sex with strangers. So what does all this mean? And it's crucial to understand. Probably you won't be happy by entering the Club 27, but let's explain it in more details. So because you're doing all those things, you're every day with different people and not with the same people all the time. This means that you're less able to create a stable and strong relationships with people, like friendship or romantic relationships, because of three reasons. One, you just don't have enough time to create this kind of relationships. Two, in your circuit, people around you who are friends with members of Club 27 either not value those honest, stable relationships because they are selfish bitches caring of their own well-being and fun without really caring what do you think and what your emotions is. Although those people with this bitchy mindset are the minority of our society, they exist and they're more likely to be in circuits like one of the members of Club 27. But even if those people they value and want to have this kind of good relationships, they will pretend that they do not care because either one, people tend to try to justify their decisions, even the wrong one. So even if they already regret the fact that they are in this circuit of member of Club 27, they will never admit it and they will pretend that this lifestyle is just fine. Either secondly, they will feel the pressure from the rest members of their circuit to promote that what we are doing here is cool and we do not need stability. Lastly, here's no possibility for you to create relationships outside of this circuit because a normal average person will avoid to hang out with guys like you because you have very different lifestyle and values. So what is the result of having this circuit? So one, you feel bad because you see all those people around you and you think that probably they do not really care about you. This means that no one is here with whom you can be honest and share your emotions in case of any difficulty, etc. You think that nobody is here to support you and all of them just want to have fun for themselves. But this is extremely important because people are social beings and they need this kind of relationships. So although you will be with different people all the time, you will still gonna feel very lonely. But secondly, also you will understand that here's no possibility for you to went out of this bubble. There's no possibility for you to creating relationships outside of this circuit because, as I said, a normal average person will avoid to hang out with guys like you. But you cannot change your lifestyle because you're addicted to alcohol and drugs. You realize that the only possibility for you to opt out is by dying. And how members of Club 27 are dying? like is a terrible death, is suffocation in vomit at night because you drank a lot, or because of overdose of drugs, or by being murdered, it's gonna be horrible. The understanding of the fact that you're gonna have this kind of feeling, the understanding that you cannot opt out of their vice and only by dying is a horrible feeling. So what does all this stuff means? That you will never be happy in Club 27. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Olga. Let's see if we have any questions from our viewers. We don't have any questions from our viewers. Let me make a question. First of all, let's allow Angeliki to have a question if she wants to have to make a question.
Well, actually, I have a lot of questions, but my first one is, Olga, have you ever gone out for the night, get super drunk, and wake up in a different city or even country?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, so I would like to make a question too. So tell me please, Olga, since Club 27 members, since we are talking about a person that becomes a member of the Club 27, so you are saying that these people will have, will only be in a contact with people that are also will be members of the Club 27. So aren't these people the same kind of cool for these people? So why should they care that non-cool people don't talk to them?
You know, the question of this debate is actually whether or not you personally have to enter this club. So the majority of people, they actually care about this kind of stuff. They care about their circuits, their friends, their relationship. So since those people, since if you enter this club, probably you will become like a public person, a musician, and you will party all the time. You will have very active life, and people around you who will also party and also have this kind of lifestyle, probably they will either not value to create a strong relationship with you because they don't have this value, and if they have those values, they will pretend that they do not care. So if you as a person want to have a stable relationship, or if you later will think that something, I actually want to have friends, I want to have love, etc., then you will be unable to change your decision, because since you entered this club, there's no possibility for you to opt out, and this is very problematic.
Μάλιστα. Okay, thank you, Olga. I had a little bit of Greek slipping out there, but I put it back in where it belonged. So, without further ado, let's have the second part of this debate, and Angeliki will be opening that. Please, Angeliki, whenever you're ready.
Perfect, thank you for this.
And also, excuse me, Angeliki, I will have to remind our viewers that at the end there will be a poll about our two speakers, so stay tight and be ready to do it. Please, Angeliki.
Perfect. Thank you for this. So the problem with the case of Olga is that she thinks that people will not be happy, they will only be happy if they can live longer and they can have longer relationships. Actually, what I think from my side is that people get hurt when they have long-term relationships. For example, we think that it is better to just go and meet some people and never see them again and only keep the good memories from them, than spend a lot of time, for example, be in a relationship with them, and at the end up getting hurted. And this is true. I mean, the more years you live, the more possibilities there are that you will get hurt for more people. The more people you meet, the more and if you have a lot of relationships, you're gonna meet a lot of people who are terrible in relationships. They don't know what they want, and you can end up getting hurted again and feeling very terrible. Now, also, moving on. Well, actually, just because Well, the reason actually that we tend to follow the norms is because we expect that we are going to live for a long time. We think that we're gonna be here until we are 80 years old or even more, and we try to think about what other people will think of us. If we take that idea about what other people think of us and we're like, well, I'm gonna die in a few years, so I don't care, then this is when we're going to be happy. We're not going to follow the norms because we're not going to care about what the norms think. We know that we're not going to be here forever. We can realize that, so we can go and do what really makes us happy and not follow a standardized way of living just because everybody else is doing that and just because we think that we're going to live forever, so we want people around us to think that we are normal and that we don't do crazy things. Also, if you remove the idea that you're going to live longer, then this is when you're going to do more extraordinary things. And what I mean by that, imagine that, for example, you want to be a hero, you want to save someone's life, which is really amazing, and people will remember you for that. If you know that you're 26 years old, for example, and you're going to die in a few months, then this is when it is more likely to go and risk your life in order to save somebody else. This is when it is more likely to go and become a hero. You can become a firefighter, for example, or even at the time when you see somebody suffering, then this is when you can go and try to help them. But since I lost a lot of time with my rebuttal, let's move to the most important argument that I have for this debate. And this is about the quality of sex that you are going to have in case that you join the Club 27. And what I mean about that, since you're going to have a lot of sex, you're going to use drugs, and no matter what Olga said about not liking bitches, well, actually, you can try a lot of things. The level will be better. And why is that? This is because when you're young, think about it like this. If you don't do that when you're young and you have a very beautiful body and you're very attractive and you can have sex even for free, especially if you're a girl or even a guy, we don't care, then probably you're going to miss that and try to do that when you're, for example, 60 years old or older and try to be a sugar dad or something like that. The only problem with this is that, first of all, guys don't have a lot of resilience in that age, so they're not going to enjoy this as much as they want. And second of all, even for women who can take it for more hours, if they want to have a very hot young guy with six packs, then they're going to have to pay for this guy. But when you do that, for example, when you're 25, your body's at its best, you look super hot, and everybody's flirting with you, and you can do whatever you want, then this is when you're going to enjoy life more. You're going to enjoy life to the fullest, have like the best time of your life, and even if you're going to die after a few years, then there is not going to be any regret. Why? Because you had the best time ever, something that you can't do later in your life.
Let me stop you, Angeliki. You are out of time.
No, I have still 15 seconds.
You are out of time. You will talk later. So, Olga, do you have any questions for Angeliki now that we have heard her second
Yes,
point?
I have
Please make one question.
I have two.
Angeliki, mute yourself, please.
Okay, so why do you think that an average person cannot have like a good sex? All those things about if you're female and attractive female, you can also use it even having an average anonymous life.
Well, the problem is that since you care about what other people will think of you and will think of you even later in your life when you're 40 or 50 years old, then probably you're going to stay with a norm and don't do something crazy that you wanted to do and try. So in my side, I think that when you have the restriction about what the society thinks and you follow that norm, then you're not going to try all this crazy stuff and be happy about that.
Okay, I have another question and I will make it. So, Okay, you proved us about the quantity of sex, so you will have a lot of partners. But do you agree that even if you have a lot of partners, if the quality is bad and it doesn't make you satisfied enough, this is a problem?
Well, actually, in order to understand about the quality, first of all, you have to try a lot of different partners so that you can see the difference. And second of all, if, for example, you're also using drugs, then trust me, according to the experts, at this time you're gonna feel more satisfied.
Okay,
After,
thank you,
if you
Agility.
stop,
I would
This
also
is a
like to make a
personal
question.
feeling.
Please mute yourselves. I would also like to make a question. First of all, why do you think, Agility, that only a member of Club 27 has sex for free? Can't a person that is not a part of Club 27 can have sex for free?
of course, anyone can have it for free. The only difference is that actually the difference is when you want to do that when you're young instead of doing when you're older, for example, because you regret for never doing that. When you're young, it's easier to have it for free. I mean, we all know. But when you're older, it's not that easy, for example, for guys to get attracted by you because you have an old body. So, yeah, that is my opinion.
Okay, and I would also like to make some more remarks because you are talking about having a sugar daddy and a sugar baby, and then you're talking about being old and not having sex. So you are not very concurrent with that. And also, I would like to ask you whether, if you're old, actually, I would like to ask Olga about that, and maybe she can go into her speech and ask and answer that question with her speech. Olga, do you think that older people can have more sex? And why should we care about sex anyway?
So,
And you have 5 minutes because it's your speech.
it's my speech already.
Yes.
Just a sec. Okay, before I begin, I will answer that question. So probably I think that in this debate, we don't have to prove whether or not young people have to do a lot of sex or the older ones. I think that average person can have like sex when he's young and when he's old. This is the similar. And also, I think that during his life, and I will prove you actually, he will get a much better experiences. But so let's see my notes. Okay, so Agility told us mostly about a quantity of sex. So notice that by having an average life, you can get both and quantity and most importantly quality. This is a unique metric that can be achieved only in my case because like even if you have drugs and then and you're like a drunk, the very next day probably you will not remember even if it was the best night of your life, the next day you will not remember about it. So actually, all these things will not really matter for you. But in my case, you will remember it and you will be very happy. So this means like how satisfied and happy you're gonna be about all of things. But before I begin my recommendation, let's imagine that you're a member of Club 27. If we assume that you started like sexual activity at 16 when it's actually legal, you can have only 11 years to get experiences. One, even if you change partners often, it's not that much as Agility trying to prove. Secondly, also it's important to notice that the majority of instances, as I said, you're gonna be drunk. So this means that you will not remember a lot of stuff the very next day. And thirdly, even if you get a lot of experiences and you are able to remember them, this is not even important because you will not be able to apply those experiences in the future because you're gonna die soon. So therefore those experiences will be just useless. So how do you get firstly quantity in my case? Here's 3 ways. One, if you have an average life and you live like until 95 years old, you can have same amount of partners or even more partners during your whole life. Secondly, even if you're like if you're an attractive person, there will be a lot of people who will like to do sex with you for free, even if you're just a person who live like an average anonymous life. Like and the internet and dating apps helps you even more to achieve that. This means that you will have a lot. And thirdly, even if you're not attractive, you can still visit a lot of prostitutes. The average person is actually okay doing that. A lot of people visiting prostitutes regularly, so they just don't discuss it publicly, so nobody knows about it. You can have a different like prostitute every night, and they will do whatever you say as long as you pay them. I believe that they also gonna provide you much better experience and make you much happier rather than a random person that you met last night in the bar. Why? That's because they actually have the incentive to keep you as their customer, because they like gaining profit from you, and they want to continue gaining profit from you in the future. So they want to make you as satisfied as possible. So you will decide to came again to them in the future. So in that case, you will get both quantity and quality. But let's imagine that you have more quantity by being a member of Club 27, but you still get better sex by being an average person because of the quality of relationship that you are creating with your partner. As we already discussed in my first speech, you don't have enough time to make an established relationship with someone as a member of Club 27. That's because you sleep with different people every time. So when you have one night stands all the time, this might be problematic. Why? Because you have this person just for 1 or 2 nights. One, this person don't know what you actually like and don't know how to make you happy. Secondly, this person may care only about how to maximize their own enjoyment and not necessarily care about how do you feel. So by having an average life, you have more perspectives to make a stable relationships. Why? Because you have a very creative path in your life. You live in a very creative environment for many years and communicate with the same people like at university, at work, etc. Because you are seeing them that often, you're more likely to make the next move and to create a relationship that's gonna stay here for at least some period of time. By having a particular partner, firstly, he or she gonna learn what do you like, and secondly, this person cares about your experience because firstly, he's more likely to consider you as a person that have kind of an important role in their life, and that has that he has to act nice towards you, and secondly, he knows that he will have to deal with you not only tonight but also in the following days, weeks, month. So he will see you again in your workspace, in daily life, etc. So
Okay.
why quantity and satisfaction is the most important metric when we are talking about sex? There is two reasons. Firstly, here's a principle. Like when you're doing something, you have to do it in the best possible way. So here's an analogy. When you go to work, it's principally right to try and work as better as possible. Like get the best possible results for both for you and for your coworkers. I believe that we can apply the same logic even when we are talking about sex. And secondly, you have a huge if you have only a huge quantity of partners, but the experience that you get every time it's not that good, you value it less. Why? You value it less when you have it too accessible and you can fuck like whenever you want.
Okay,
So
thank you, Olga. You're out
you
of
get better
time.
satisfactions. Thank you.
Okay, so this concludes our first half of this debate, and we have talked about a lot about pleasure and how to get it. So, Angeliki, you can make one question to Olga, if you want.
Actually, I do. So, Olga, would you prefer to be in a relationship with a guy for 2 years that doesn't satisfy you, but you have to stay with him because you can't just go and change a boyfriend? Or do you prefer for this during these 2 years to change partners every single night
Who
and
told
feel
you
satisfied?
who told you that you will have only that guy? Like the majority of people can go and meet another guys and they just don't tell it to their husband and they will be pretty fine. Trust me.
Okay, I wish we could trust you, Olga. I would also like to make a question myself, and that is, it's a two-part question, and that is, do you think that sex with your ex is the best? And also, how will you have an ex if you don't ever get into a relationship with a Club 27? Well, actually, that goes to Angeliki, it doesn't go to Olga. But please, Angeliki, answer us this question. How will you ever get into a relationship if you want to live to the fullest like in Club 27? And is sex with your ex the best? And also, I would like both of you to answer these questions actually.
Okay, first of all, when you join the Club 27, you can also have an open relationship, for example, with your partner. And you can also meet new people, and everybody will feel good about this. Second of all, you can join the Club 27 whenever you want, as long as you are below the age of 27. So, for example, you can have a serious relationship until the age of 20 or 23, then realize that your life, for example, doesn't fulfill you, and join later the Club 27. Because, the purpose is just, at the end, you have to die at the age of 27. So, in my side, we don't care when you decide to be part of the club. And okay, about the second part, it depends on the ex.
Okay. And Olga, would you say that sex with your ex is the best?
Okay, you mean personally or in general? So I will answer in general. So, in like terms of this debate, we have to make a very clear like comparative. In one hand, you may have sex with your ex. Who and you know this person knows what you like, etc. So even if you don't have another partner in this period of time, you can go to this ex and having a good time. But in case of member of Club 27, you are most likely to have sex with this drunk person on drugs who don't even care about you, and like he will do whatever he wants, and the next day he will just disappear. So in that particular comparative, I think that to having sex with your ex is much better.
Okay, thank you, Olga. And now we will be moving to our third part, our second half of this debate. And we will have our third speeches for each participant. So please, Angeliki, without further ado, you can make your extension. You can bring it.
Perfect. I'm gonna start with saying that Olga, it's clearly that you ignore the fact that a lot of women have to pretend during sex. And why I'm saying that, this is because when you have a stable relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean that your partner is totally satisfying you. You may say that to yourself, or probably you don't believe that, but the reason that you're staying with that person is not for the bed, but it's more likely because you don't want, for example, your parents to be like, oh my god, you just changed the boyfriend again. I mean, what's wrong with you? Or everybody else. Or also, actually, when you're a woman, you don't want to change partners every single night because everybody will think that you're a slut. So you're probably thinking that you're going to be in the middle of your 50s, and your children will feel ashamed of you when they hear to the rumors. So for these reasons, you're not really doing what you like, and you're not getting the satisfaction that you think that somebody can have just from having stable relationships and living longer. But you can get that satisfaction when you think like there is no tomorrow. You're free to do whatever you want. You can go with anyone that you want, but you don't also care because you're not going to be here tomorrow. So who cares? You don't have a future. Your future is very limited. You have a very limited time. Now, about your partner also knowing what you like and don't like, trust me, not every guy really cares about what you like and you don't like. Sometimes they may not even ask you if you liked something or not, or even if they do, probably you're gonna lie. So, yeah, for these reasons, we don't think that in your side you can get the satisfaction that you think you can have. But in my case, when you decide to join and you're like, I'm free to do whatever I want, I'm free to search for my sexuality, then this is when you will get the most satisfaction, because you stop having this barrier on your mind about what other people will think about you and what people will think about you when you're in the future. When you're a woman, for example, you really care about what you're going to do in your 20s, because you think that later, when you're going to have children, about how your children are going to treat you. So, for these reasons, we think that your case may that I win this side, um, yeah, this metric of the debate. Now, one also important argument is about the freedom of doing whatever you want. We think that it is most important to serve yourself and your needs than try to follow the norm, than try to follow what the government or everybody else is trying to make you do that you don't like. We think that it is better, for example, to have 600 burgers and then die in the next second from heart attack, but it's gonna worth it because you wanted to do that. You knew the risk, you like the idea, but you still did it. We don't think that it is nice when you have to be like, oh no, I have to take care of my health because I have somebody to support, or I have to think about 1 million more different things, so I'm not going to do that and then feel sad because I never tried. No, we think that it is better. Go and chase, for example, the drugs if you want to. Go for the alcohol. Live with the bitches. If this makes you happy and you're going to die later about that, then we don't care. You knew the risk, you like the idea, you're free to do it. We don't think that you must have somebody else to tell you what is right and wrong and oppress you of not doing that. And also, about what you said, yeah, I want to compare one last thing. When it comes about beaches, all that try to tell us that people are going to try them, so yeah, men will get satisfied. But actually, men are more likely to do that and feel more satisfied when they're like, it's now or never, why not just go and try it, see the experience. Men usually try to see that when they think like that, like, okay, I guess I have to try that. If I don't do it now, then I'm never going to do that. So if they're thinking about the stereotypical, about how stereotypical other people will think of them, then it's probably not necessarily that they're going to do that, and they will never be happy about being free. We want people to be and feel free and do and express themselves the way that they want to and that makes them happy. We want them to go and be like, I want to try this thing. It seems dangerous. Did they tell me that it's dangerous? Yes, but I want to try it because I know that I'm going to die anyway. So, for all of these reasons, I'm very proud to propose for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ageliki. So, Olga, do you have any questions to put out for Ageliki?
Actually, I don't have any question right now. But I have one. So, do you recognize that you are not actually free when you cannot opt out of being a member of like Club 27 because you're already in this circuit, you're already addicted to drugs, etc., etc. So this is not an actual freedom.
Well, actually, we think it is because the other option will be to live an average anonymous life. So, in the average anonymous life, what you have to do is follow the norms, do what everybody else is doing, and just try to survive and make it through the day. So, when you don't have to think about that you need money in order to survive or support your family or doing things just because everybody else is doing them, then this is when you're truly free. And you can feel very happy about that and yourself.
Okay, thank you, Angeliki. So let's move on to Olga to give us her third speech about this motion. And then we will have our fourth speech for both of you. It will be less time, it will be about 3 minutes, where you will be summarizing your arguments. So please, Olga, you have 5 minutes now, your third speech.
Just a second to set my timer. Angeliki completely ignores the practical harms that you get by being a member of Club 27. You harm yourself by the activities that are perceived as normal in Club 27. You harm your health. You may become addicted to drugs. You may have some diseases because of that. For example, you're more likely to get sexual diseases if you're chaotic in your personal life. You're gonna get a lot of suffering because you will have to search for dose of drugs or because of disease that you might get. This means that your life will not be as perfect as Angeliki tries to prove you. And at the end, you will die primarily because of this lifestyle. At 27 years old, which is very soon, you will lose the most important, the most valuable things that you have, your life. This is extremely bad because your future may be amazing, but now you will never get access to that. You will never see how your life can evolve. So, but even if you're okay by getting like those harms, here's 3 arguments why is this just unacceptable in principle. So, firstly, we shouldn't enter this circuit of Club 27 because of social morality. As a society, we assume that doing drugs and alcohol is not cool. Like your mom told you that you shouldn't do this kind of things. So society dictates to us what is okay to do and what is not. For example, when society tells you that you should respect elders, you are trying to follow that. So try to follow and those norms as well. My second argument is the principle of not causing harm. One reason is because those activities may harm yourself, which is not great. But most importantly is that you do not harm only yourself, but also other people. And here's an analogy. For example, when a drunk person drives a car, he got a lot of criticism in our society because he might kill someone and and causes harm to another person. And this is unacceptable in our society. That's why we as a society has created laws and we dictate you what you can do and what you can't. Because, and this is very important, your autonomy ends at the point when it may cause harm to other person. But by having the Club 27 lifestyle, you harm other people. How exactly you harm them? One, you're gonna have your fans, if you're public person, that are likely to emulate your lifestyle because you are like an idol to them. And secondly, let's forget about that. Like just when you're gonna drink something, when people drink alcohol or taking drugs, in majority of instances, they're not doing that lonely, but they're in company with other people. This means that if tonight you will feel the desire to drink vodka, you will push other people to come and drink with you. Notice that otherwise those people will not drink vodka tonight, but now because you push them to do that, they will. This causes harm to their health as well because of you, and this is principally unacceptable to choose a lifestyle which repeatedly harms other people. And last argument is the principle of contribution to a society. So by entering the Club 27, you will not become an engineer or scientist or whatever. This means that you will never create the effort that you could make by doing these jobs. Like if Francois Pierre, Emil Grant, whatever, would enter a Club 27, he would never become an inventor of lamp. And all the following generations will never enjoy lamps. And who knows what are cool things you might be creating, but not being a member of Club 27. So you will be unable to make a society a better place. And this is extremely problematic because you have a moral obligation towards society. Because the reason why you are alive is because everyone in this society is doing his part and helping you actually to have a good life, like build a building, etc. So you are depending to everyone in this society creating where you are live right now. Alone you will probably die or fight for survival. So the minimum that you can do in order to repay the society for all those benefits that you are enjoying is by trying to do something that will benefit it. So, but Agiliki never explained us why actually it's okay to doing whatever you want. She just says, oh, we have to maximize our happiness, but never get a furthermore explanation of why we have to maximize our happiness, why autonomy is important, etc. For all those reasons, this is just an absurd topic to discuss. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Olga. So I would like to make a question, but first, do you, Angeliki, have any questions? It's your last chance to place any questions against Olga.
Okay, so Olga, do you think that the person will feel happier if he is doing whatever he wants, or if he serves the needs of his country, does whatever the government tells him to do?
I think that in everything that you do in your life, you have to get a balance. You cannot do whatever you want. Like if I want to go and murder random people, this is not that great, even if it's gonna make me very happy. And I really believe that you need like to get this balance, especially in this particular sense when you cause so huge harm to you, to other people, etc., etc. And secondly, I don't really believe, and you never prove us why actually by having like this lifestyle you will become that happy. I gave you a multiple reasons why you actually will not be happy, because like of all those harms, because you will not be have friends, you will not have relationships, you will have to get out of your comfort zone, and the majority of people don't like to doing that. You never explain us why we will become that happy in your scenario.
Okay, thank you, Olga. So I would also like to make a question, because you talk about our parents and how they influence our actions. So would you say you both are very young, and so this could be an out of place question, but would you say that you have done anything that your mom told you to and avoided anything that she told you not to do it? Because you talk about parents and actually your mom. Please, Olga.
No, I always listen to my mom.
Okay, okay, thank you. So without further ado,
Good
we
go.
don't have any questions from the public. So, without further ado, we call Angeliki to summarize her side of this debate. You have, let's say, 4 minutes. Are you okay with that, Angeliki?
Okay, 4 minutes then.
You have 4 minutes because you are running also out of time.
Okay, perfect. Well, first of all, I would like to say that Olga didn't realize that when we talk about Club 27 and the risks that you take, you know that you're going to die. You know that you have a limit, you can't live longer. So if you say, for example, that I can drive for drugs, and I know that, and I want to join the club, then of course I'm going to die. I would die anyway, but now since I'm joining the club, I would die at the age of 27, and now I'm going to try the drugs. So I don't see a point with this argument. Now, let's compare the two words. The word that you supported was talking about stable relationships and having following what the society says and what the law says and the government and everybody, and actually do what everything that other people tell you. The only problem with this is that, first of all, I never said anything about murdering people or something like that. It's not a requirement. I just propose that people should follow their dreams, should try to live their life, and not just stay watch others living their lives, for example, and be miserable about this and feeling sad and miserable just because they never tried something that they wanted, just because somebody else told them not to do. What I prove to you is that you're going to be more happy when you are going and chasing your dreams. When you follow what the society tells you, probably the society is most likely to tell you you can't go and be a singer because you're going to start with this and you're never going to make money. Only a few people are getting famous. But when you join the club, you don't care. You feel happy because you're chasing something that you always wanted and dreamed about. It is your dream. It is what makes your life, it is what gives to your life meaning. So instead of listening to the society and thinking, oh yeah, sure, one day I'm going to have children, and or I don't know, I'm not going to pay for my rent, we say no, screw this. Think like there's no tomorrow, because there is no tomorrow and you know that for sure, and go and do that and be happy for as many years as you still can. Also, I prove to you why the relationships and the quality of sex that you're going to have is going to be much better. Since you don't care about the norms, the society, and you don't follow the restrictions, you're going to do exactly what you are thinking about and what you really want to do. You don't have to stay oppressed and be like, oh no, good girls don't do that, or you know what, oh no, I have a girlfriend and she's going to get jealous and I want to be forever with her, so I'm not going to do that. No, you're like, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, so I'm gonna try it. Why not? And when you have to compare these words, when you have to follow the norms and what the other say, is that this is when you're going to be more sad and depressed. We see a lot of average people who complain about their lives just because they never did what they really wanted. They are still not doing what they really want to do just because they have to live in a society and follow the informal rules that the society has. They have to get married, they have to have children, they have to have a stable job just because everybody else is doing that and just because they tell them that they need to grow up and do that. But when they think, okay, I'm, for example, 20, I have 7 more years of my life, so yeah, I'm gonna try have as many sexual partners as possible because this is what I want to do, because I like this. I'm going to try drugs, for example, because I don't care what the others will say, I just want to try them, and I know that I'm going to die in a few years, so I am really going to do that. And I'm going to live my life more dangerously, for example, or even try to become a famous actress, even if everybody says don't do that because you're going to starve, just because this makes me happy. So at the end, we think that it is better to live fewer years if you live them to the fullest. So it's like you have lived your whole life, than live more years without with having an empty life and actually make feel like you have never lived or experienced anything. So for all of these reasons, I think that I win this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ageliki. So now it's time for Olga to summarize her side and end this debate. So you have 4 minutes, Olga. Whenever you're ready. Ready.
Am I able to make a question?
Of course you are able to make a question, please. Last chance to engage.
Thank you, Fred. You're so nice. You're so sweet. So the question is, why you actually think that just by trying to follow your dreams and not really, and like entering this club, why you actually will become that happy at the at, at the end?
Well, think about, for example, when, as Fodis before said, you really want to go, for example, in Japan for a trip alone, but your parents are like, no, Olga, you can't go, you have to stay at home. And Japan has been your dream forever. Now, you're most likely to feel sad about this. And if you don't do that when you're young, then later when you're on your 40s or 50s, it's less possible to try that if you have an average life, because you have to think about a million problems and things at the same time. So if you never do that, then one day you can just sit on the couch, watch something on television and be like, and see, for example, images from Japan and be like, oh my god, I always wanted to go there, but I never did that, and it seems so beautiful, and now I can't do that. Probably I will have to wait until I'm 60 or 70 years old when I get retired, but then it's not going to be the same, and probably I may not even have the money to do that. So, yes, I think that this trip will make you happy when you do that when you're on your 20s, then never do that and feel sad and miserable because you never even tried that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. I think we have concluded this debate.
But
So,
about my speech.
so the poll is up. I think you have seen it that the poll is up.
We have a
And
summary.
today, after all this debate, we will be comparing who wore the best clothes. Because
What about my
when we
speech?
have two speakers like these, we will mostly concentrate on their clothes and not what they say. So,
Okay, we still have one speech.
so thank you very much. It's time to end this and have
Wait,
a
what
good
about
night.
your summary?
What summary? You would like a summary of this debate, and what do I think? I have to give you some points. So,
I was expecting from Olga one.
I don't know. If you don't want, I might just go and like let you.
Okay, before you
don't
go,
get
can I
ahead of
sew my
yourselves,
outfit then?
Bugatti and all of that. So, uh, I think it's time to say good night. Don't you agree? So let's say good night and stop this. Bye.
Okay, at least we will have this pool about who is the most